Hello, Texas Values supporters. Welcome to In Case You Missed It, a Friday update of the latest happenings in the Texas legislature by your Texas Values policy team. I'm Jonathan Kelly. I'm the Director of Policy. With me is Mary Elizabeth Castle, our Director of Government Relations. Uh, and just thank you to all our faithful listeners, who tune in regularly to this weekly update. It's hard to believe, but we are already right about halfway through the Texas legislative session. And many of our Texas values priorities have already made it through the Senate chamber and are moving into position for hearings and votes in the Texas House. So, one big priority that Texas Values had that made it over a big hurdle this week is Senate Bill 619. This is our priority legislation carried by Senator Kevin Sparks on medical conscience protections to make sure that doctors and nurses and pharmacists and counselors and every other health provider is not coerced into providing a treatment or a procedure that goes against their religious convictions or their moral views or their ethical views. After all, we don't want anyone, I don't think I know anyone that wants a doctor without a conscience, and doctors are not vending machines dispensing little healthcare procedures. They are people with religious views, and many times they went into the field of healthcare just because of those views, so they can help people. And they took a Hippocratic oath to do no harm. So we have this bill to protect them and the religious convictions, SB 619, and it had a hearing on Tuesday in the Senate Health and Human Services Committee. Hearings seemed to go really well. There was a lot of great testimony. Our team testified as well, and you can go and look that up on the Texas Legislature online website if you want to check that out. But that bill is moving forward now, so we'll continue to monitor that, see, and let you know when it makes it to the floor. But very excited about a big priority for Texas values moving forward in the Texas Senate. Also, wanted to mention to you, HJR 112 was a bill, a constitutional amendment proposal that I got to testify on this past week. It's been a very busy week for our team. And this constitutional amendment proposal is about putting into law the right of parents to raise their children. And you might say, well, isn't that already a thing? It is. We have it in statute, and of course, it's in federal case law. But we know that case law can change. We know that as we saw with Roe v. Wade, federal case law changed at one point, and this is too important of a right, too fundamental of a right to trust to a body of case law. And of course, it helps clear up some things for lower courts here in the state of Texas as well. If you put it into our Texas Constitution, the right of parents to raise their children and to educate them. So this HJR 112 was a very important bill that we got to testify in support of this week. And then just looking ahead, coming up, we try to do that every now and then. Next week, we are hearing that SB 1, the appropriations bill, the budget bill for the Senate, will be heard sometime next week, probably on Tuesday night. So it looks like that's going to be a very long night for our team as well. So we ask you continue to keep us in prayer as we work, as we fight on faith and family issues. And I want to hand it over to Mary Elizabeth to give you a couple more updates on things that happened in the legislature this week.
Yes, there is a lot happening this week, and Covey mentioned a few of the bills that we testified on, especially the big hearing on the medical conscience protection bill. You may see one of our teammates missing on this Zoom, and that's because Megan was in Irving last night. The city of Irving had a really large meeting, a very active meeting on whether or not they would have Las Vegas Sands put a casino resort in their city. So we'll have updates about that soon, but our teammate Megan was there testifying against this city proposal. But that's what we do at Texas Values. If there's anything that comes up in a local setting, yes, we're very active at the Texas legislature, but we will go to that local setting to make sure that we're there to either support or oppose anything that goes against Texas values. It goes against your faith, family, and freedom. So that's where she is right now, coming back from that meeting. But we did have a lot of other things that we, either testified on or supported this week. Another bill that we testified on was protecting minors on social media. A lot of you who are parents can understand this, and a lot of you who are probably young people and follow us actually believe this too, that social media, it can become very addictive. Actually, it's made to be addictive. It can cause a lot of social harms and can cause a lot of distraction, a lot of friction, a lot of negative things that, social media obviously is a good tool that we're using right now, so don't turn us off. But, social media in the wrong hands, or especially in the hands of young people, can be a bad thing, especially when you're talking about that it's very easy for them to access things that are inappropriate. So we had a really good bill last session to make sure that minors don't have access to porn sites, but there's a bill this past week that would say that in order for minors to access social media, they would need parental consent in order to access social media. And it's something that, I think parents should be able to have a say if their child, has a Facebook account and what is on that Facebook account or an Instagram account or so forth. I know parents who actually do that automatically. Usually their child's social media account is just an extension of their account as a parent. And so they're able to log in automatically. But we know that's not the case for all kids and parents. So we wanted to just make sure that it's a requirement so that parents can be in control and they can protect their kids from certain content that they can have such easy access to, protect them from predators, protect them from so many things, even like I said, some of the harms that come from the addictive nature of social media, that come from some of the comparison and peer pressure and all of those issues. So that was a very good bill that was heard this week in the Texas House. So very glad to support that as well. Yesterday, there was a very interesting bill that kind of spurs the privacy issue in Texas. Now, that's an issue that we still need a little bit of a push, but it's still a #1 priority for Texas values, protecting women and girls in their private spaces. And we got a little taste of that yesterday with HB 437 by Representative Valerie Swanson that would protect young girls, minors, in juvenile detention centers, making sure that those detention centers are separated based on sex. So that gave us a little bit of taste of what all the Privacy Act would entail, would protect. Of course, as we've said before, the Privacy Act, not just the bathroom, not just the locker room, but protecting women in jails and prisons, protecting them in domestic violence shelters, and defining what man and woman is. Those are all the things that you can expect with the Texas Women's Privacy Act. So very happy for the hearing yesterday, and that can advance, but we know that there's so much more that you, even when you come to the Capitol, would like to see as far as protection of women and girls in their sex-separated spaces. But we have some exciting news. Riley Gaines came out this week with a quote in support of HB 239, the Texas Women's Privacy Act. And I think I can announce this, but you'll see this soon. Paula Scanlon has also endorsed the Texas Women's Privacy Act. And these are two young ladies who are the leading voices on the women's sports issue, but also the women's privacy issue because of all the things that they had to endure with having to change and undress in front of male swimmer Will Leah Thomas back when he was competing in NCAA swimming. So they have firsthand experience and they believe that this bill is so important for Texas. But they need to hear from you in the Texas House and Texas Senate. We're March 21st. Like Covey said last week, there was a deadline for filing bills, but we're moving along in the session and we've had some good things, but we still need a hearing on the Texas Women's Privacy Act. We have not had one scheduled yet. So please contact your member to tell them to support this bill. We have 77 co-authors. Our Representative Valerie Swanson's bill. If your member is not one of the 77, please encourage them to sign on. Like I said, it's a bipartisan bill, so don't be shy about asking them to support. And then also support your member in asking for a hearing for this bill, and also reach out to the House State Affairs and the Senate State Affairs committees to ask for a hearing as well. Senator Brian Hughes, Chairman King, I'm sure they would love to hear from you about why this is so important on making sure that we protect women and girls in Texas. Also, if you want to show your voice in a different way, we will have a petition that you can sign that will be going live very soon, to where you can sign your name saying that you're in support of these bills. So don't miss out on that great opportunity for the Texas Women's Privacy Act. But there's some other great things going on too for the pro-life issue as well. So the lieutenant governor came out with his last 26 through 40 priorities last week, like we announced last week. And one of those priorities is SB 33, and that would focus on making sure that cities and localities cannot use taxpayer dollars to fund travel for abortion or fund any type of activity that would ultimately lead to a woman seeking an abortion. So you know that we have SB 22 that does prohibit taxpayer dollars directly going to abortion, but over the years, Austin City Council became very clever and tried to work around that. But also, in the recent years, since the Dobbs decision, they have also tried to say that they could work around that law by giving money for travel or hotel rooms for women seeking abortion out of state. So this would be a law addressing that particular issue, making sure there aren't any loopholes and that we can fully protect the life of the preborn in our state. So that's some good news. And Covey, I don't want to forget either some of the bills that were voted off of the House floor. So the Ten Commandments and prayer and Bible in schools were voted off of the Senate floor this week.
Absolutely, yes. SB 10, Texas 10 Commandments bill, and SB 11 both voted off the floor, and then SB 13, I believe, as well, correct? Yeah,
Yes,
the
SB
library books bill.
13.
So extremely happy about that. What a great thing. Very excited that all of those bills have now come out of the Senate and are sitting there waiting for the House to pick them up. So that's very exciting news, and it's really great to be at that position here still in March when we still have a very good chunk of the session still ahead of us to get things done. So that's very exciting news as well. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, it's that closes out our Friday update, guys. But it's a great, beautiful weekend outside. We're not going to get to take a breather, but we hope that you will, and we'll continue to monitor all this legislation, everything that's going on at the Texas Capitol. And remember, if you want to stay up with the breaking news and information at the Capitol, you can text TX Values to 797979 and get our text alerts. And we're available at times, a little bit less so now, but we'll be available, and we try to make ourselves available to come out and speak. If you want to get a speaking request in for the summer, if you're a conservative group and you're looking for a speaker coming up, we'd love to be able to schedule something with you. So reach out to our info email and set something up. And that is how together we will continue to make a difference for faith, family, and freedom in the state of Texas. We'll see you again next week, guys. Thanks.